Well, hello and welcome to the very first edition of Kalkine Sports on Kalkine TV. I'm your host, James Preston, and in this show, we take a look at all the major sporting news in Australia and abroad. We feature exclusive interviews with athletes and decision makers and delve into the business side of sports. Today's show is jam-packed. It's Origin season and for more than just one code. Dean Russell, the General Manager of New South Wales Touch Football, will touch on the state's Origin Series victory last week. Rugby League's second State of Origin will be played this Sunday, and current NRL player Brad Dietz joins me to preview the clash. So too, for the Women's State of Origin happening later tonight, Tasha Gale will join me to preview that one, and we'll also take a look at the A-League Grand Final with Adam Santarossa. Let's first start though with the major sporting news. Beginning with cricket, New Zealanders are rejoicing after the Black Caps enjoyed their greatest victory in cricket history, as they beat India by 8 wickets in the inaugural World Test Championship final at Southampton on Thursday. 2 years after their agonising super over loss to England in the 50-over World Cup final at Lords, the New Zealand Test side has claimed their first major title. Due to rain delays, the match was played over the duration of 6 days, but it was heavily disrupted. India succumbed to a strong session with the ball in hand by the Black Caps, all out for 139 from 53 overs. And whilst there was some initial pushback with the likes of Ravi Ashwin collecting New Zealand openers Tom Latham and also Devon Conway to have the Black Caps on edge at 2 for 44, New Zealand captain Kane Williamson and Ross Taylor cruised to victory with a 96-run partnership. Moving on now to the world of rugby union, and controversy is reigning supreme once again. Rugby Australia chairman Hamish McLennan has, according to a stuff.co.New Zealand report, gone cold on the concept of a Trans-Tasman style series for Super Rugby in 2022 over concerns about a competition imbalance. The 2021 edition was the first of its kind, developed as a direct response to the COVID-19 pandemic that saw teams from the New Zealand Super Rugby Aotearoa and teams from the Super Rugby Australia competitions compete in a tournament after their respective competitions had already concluded. This tournament, however, was extremely lopsided, with the New Zealand sides claiming 23 of the 25 round matches, which then resulted in an all-New Zealand final. Rugby Australia boss Hamish McLennan believes a solution can be worked out, but only in the event of an increased share of the broadcast revenue from New Zealand's broadcast partner Sky for any matches that are played. Nine and Stan Sport, Rugby Australia's new broadcast partners, are keen on only Australian matches for 2022. Turning to Japan, and the Tokyo Olympics are officially less than a month away, but excitement is not being shared by Japanese Emperor Naruhito. The Emperor has revealed to the world that he is extremely worried about the potential spread of COVID-19 that could result from the Games. This follows an earlier Kyoto News poll that found 80% of Japanese citizens either want the Games cancelled or postponed further. The cost for Japan to host the Games has now ballooned to $20 billion. Time now to turn our attention to the beautiful game, and Australia's premier domestic football competition, the A-League, will host its grand final between Melbourne City and Sydney FC Sunday evening at 5:05 p.m. in Melbourne. And a little earlier today, I caught up with commentator and Sydney FC matchday host Adam Santarossa.
Well, it's my great pleasure to now welcome to Kalkine Sports Adam Santarossa, the game day host for Sydney FC. Of course, Sydney are one of the two sides to battle out this year's A-League Grand Final. Adam, welcome to the program.
Yeah, thanks, James. Good to be here.
Mate, great to have your company. Let's start off, obviously, with the Grand Final itself. It's been a long way to get here. We've had the pandemic interrupting the season at certain points. It's been closed behind, or played behind closed doors at other points. Such a journey. What are we looking out for come Saturday, though?
Yeah, well, we've got a blockbuster grand final coming up. I think, these two teams are 1 and 2 on the table and a rematch from last year's grand final. So the narrative is exactly what the A-League probably wanted, and I think football fans a little bit with some players leaving on Socceroo duty, but there is a big rivalry between these two, and I think they both deserve it to be in the grand final. So looking forward to a big game.
Yeah, it should be a fantastic matchup. Now, what are some of the key players that you're casting your eye over? Who do you think is going to be the ones who pull the strings and win the match for either side?
Yeah, look, I think this will be one in the final third. I think if you look back at the last two grand finals, particularly, grand finals are always very cagey. There's not a lot of chances. Pressure's very high. And I think Sydney are probably more favoured in that area with Bobo and Adam Lafondra. They've really added another element to Sydney FC in that final third. And conversely, Melbourne City, Jamie McLaren, their star, he's away on Socceroos duty, so he won't be in the grand final. So I just feel that final third, there's a reliance on some younger players in that semi-final for Melbourne City. Marco Tilio and Stefan Kolikovsky both scored, but problem with these young players, grand final, big stage, a lot of pressure and expectation, particularly on Melbourne City. How will those young players cope with that? Whereas Sydney FC, their third straight grand final, Bobo and Adam Lafondra, some of the more experienced players in the A-League, I just think Sydney have that edge in the final third, and I think that'll be the difference.
So how much do you think, obviously, with the match shifting its location, it's now going to be played in Melbourne, does that sort of put things back into the balance of favour for Melbourne, or you still think it might be a bridge too far?
No, I think it's a good decision, and I think it's Melbourne City won the Premier's Plate, so they finished top of the table, so they earned the right to host the grand final. And it's a good thing that they did get to do that. It wasn't looking like that was going to happen. Obviously, their semi got moved to Sydney last weekend, and the view was that the grand final would be as well, given the limit on crowds. But obviously, the COVID changes here in Sydney in recent days has meant it's gone to Melbourne. So I think it's a good move and deserved for Melbourne. But I don't think it will face Sydney FC too much. They've had a lot of disruption this season, not only with player injuries, new faces coming in and out of the side, but they started the season in Abu Dhabi in the Asian Champions League bubble. They had to go there and complete the rest of the competition. So a lot of change, a lot of frustration, and a lot of short-term notice to get on flights and upheaval for Sydney, and they've coped with it really well. They're in the grand final again, so. The home crowd will be there for Melbourne, but I don't think it'll face Sydney FC. I mean, they've won 3 grand finals. One of those was in Perth, where similarly not a lot of fans could travel given the short notice. So I don't think it'll phase them too much.
Okay, it's I'm not sure if it's 100% the blue glasses coming on for Sydney for Sydney itself, but you're definitely in the camp of the Sky Blue boys. So I think we're pretty wrapped up that you're thinking Sydney FC are going to get the win here. Just before I let you go, though, Adam, moving forward, obviously this has been a difficult season to contend with the backdrop of the pandemic. Crowd numbers down more generally, though, when you compare it to other sports. How does the future look for the game itself in Australia?
Yeah, I think it looks bright. I mean, we've seen in recent weeks the new deal with Network 10 and Paramount Plus, and I think that's a real positive for the game and real solid investment into the game, which, I think the game needs that refresh and someone to really increase the marketing and the visibility of the game, which they'll get with some free-to-air exposure on Network 10. I mean, I think Foxtel and Fox Sports have done a great job, but I think it's needed that rebrand and that refresh, which it will get. And this season has been incredible in terms of the action on the pitch. I think, people look at the crowd numbers and the ratings are down, but I think the actual football itself and the quality and the fan experience, I think, has been up. And I think it's going to continue to trend that way. So, if the action's exciting, if people are going to games and enjoying it and wanting to come back and bring their friends the next time and tell their friends to watch it on TV, that's only going to help the game. And I think, all these factors are going to see some real growth, not only next season, but in the future. And with the Women's World Cup, only a few years away as well,
Yep.
It's all positive. There's a lot of green shoots around Australian football, and I think we're going to see them in the coming years.
Adam, I think you've hit the nail on the head. We have seen the quality of the competition increase year on year. You have a look at the Socceroos side now. There's so many players either having come out of the A-League or still playing in there. Jamie McLaren, you mentioned he's one of them who's back into the fold. So, look, fingers crossed for a bright future for Australian football. Thank you so much for your time today. And look, I don't want to put on the glasses myself, but I will put the sky blue glasses on. Go Sydney FC. Let's get that big victory. And fingers crossed for yourself, mate, that they do indeed get up.
Yeah, looking forward to a great game on Sunday. And I may be a little biased to Sydney FC, but either way, I just hope it's a good game and a great example of what the A-League can show.
Well, Adam Santarossa, thank you so much for your time with Kalkine Sports.
My pleasure.